Okay, we're in. So, guys, welcome back. I'm really happy to have you back here with me again. I hope I can make something interesting for you all this year. I remind you that I still get distracted when people are talking. It just hasn't gone away. So if you want to have a bad lecture, just start talking with everybody there so I get distracted. If you don't want to have a bad lecture, then go outside when you want to talk or something, because I just need to keep it focused, and it's not so easy as you can imagine. So how are you guys today? How are you all? Are you fine? Yeah? It's normal? It's all cool? Yeah? I'm actually really happy to see both groups in here. Like, I don't know, I find that's really cool. Huh? Yeah, I find that really cool to have you all in one place. I'm going to close this for a bit because I get distracted. So look, guys, let me drop this super honestly with you. This is a mega technical topic, okay? No ways to escape this. I cannot make it other ways. This is a very technical topic, and it is a topic that is designed to help you to... when I'm looking at a mix or I'm recording something, and I hear something and I say, there is too much 700 hertz there. Like, how the F did I got that skill? Let's find out. That's exactly what is going to happen here. And so this is not the, oh my God, I'm so inspired topic that we all like to have, So I'm going to be crystal clear with you about that. I love everything I teach, so I'm going to have fun. I hope you have fun as well. I really like all these topics. I'm a nerd about this, but yeah, I'll try to make it as dynamic and exercise-like that it can be, so it's not so boring for all of you guys, okay? All the rules that apply to all my subjects are there, still in place. I'm not going to demand from you extreme punctuality because I'm not an extremely punctual person. So I'm not going to demand from you like that you deliver me everything at 11:59 every time, but try to be on time. All of those things apply. The same rules, all the things. It's just like right now we're kind of like in a bit of a peripheral topic. It's sort of like right now I'm kind of playing the role of an actor that is not the lead actor. It's kind of like a secondary actor because this is not like introduction to music production, which is like a major topic. It's more kind of like a sideways thing. But hey, I think we can do it dynamic, interesting, and deep, and that's what I'm looking for. I hope I can make it. Now we have this like 1.5 hour lecture format. How did it work for you in the morning with Danilov? I think it's better. Like 3 hours is too much, or 2.5 hours is too much. I think this is better. I'm getting used to this, so I still don't know how to deliver lectures in 1.5 hours because this is my second one only. But I was used to my other course, and also this is a course that I have never taught before, so it's a challenge for me, and I hope I can do a good job. I do have a very strict plan, and I'm gonna stick to my plan because I don't want to F it up. So I want this to be cool and dynamic and interesting for all of you. So some of you have seen this photo already. I kind of like started like this last year. I didn't start with you like that because you were not a part of my life when I started using this already. But I love this picture. I've seen the original, and I just remind you guys that we're in the university, so this is a time for going deep into things and exploring things. And it's really true that you have a certain amount of time now that you will not get so often in your life. It's really, really, really difficult to find this time when you can sit down and just explore topics. The option that you can have is that you can run a bachelor's, and then when you run a bachelor's, you will have a lot of time to explore those topics. But as long as you don't run a bachelor's, it's going to be really hard to find that time. So really go deep, dive deeply. This year I'm trying to make things a bit more university-like than last year. And what I mean by that is that I really want to support myself on bibliography very strongly. So actually the whole course is based on a book, and we're going to follow that book from A to Z. And because it's such a technical topic, and I cannot pretend that I know how to orchestrate a conversation about that. So I decided to make like a really, strict attachment to one certain book. We will see what book that is. So Many times I will be quoting that book directly. Many of the slides are just copy paste from that book, so we can discuss them. And then you can tell me, well, what if I just go and read the book and don't come to the lectures? Okay, great. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. I think that, yeah, you can do that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is like, I'm not pretending that this is my content and that I thought about all of this like that. I'm literally taking somebody else's work because I think he can do a better job at articulating this for you. And I'm going to be a vehicle between you and that book, so we can explore this topic together and learn how to use the audio manipulation tools properly. So let's stop just equalizing with our eyes closed. Let's stop compressing with our eyes closed. Let's just stop using presets. I mean, that's the point of this whole course. Let's stop using presets and let's get us prepared to mix. Because in the second semester with me, you're going to see introduction to mixing and mastering. Again, for example, Dima, you don't have to see this subject, but songwriters have to see it. And this topic is kind of like a pre-step to mixing. So it's kind of like, how do you use those tools, what those tools are, what are they made of, why they work. We saw some of these topics in Introduction to Music Production together, but yeah, we're going to go to another level of depth. The first year of the bachelor's is really like some sort of like overview or general plane, and then we go deeper into this. So let's kind of go in. I thought to start right in with something I prepared for you last night. I just opened Pro Tools last night and I kind of like compared several stages of a mix that I was doing. Okay, so let's have a listen and see what do we feel. So you're gonna see me there. Let's see if it loads slowly. Yeah, there was some internet issues today. Well, that's funny. This video had a copyright strike last night, and now I'm going to play a copyright striked video, and I'm going to stream that. So that's kind of like a fractal copyright strike. Okay, so I'm not pretending you to like listen to this and understand what's going on there. I just kind of wanted to start with some sort of practical moment so you can feel a chomya about what this course is going to be, kind of. So when you see the little yellow color here, it means that we're listening to this mix. And then we're going to move to this mix. And then we're going to go to that and that and that and that. And this is chronological. It's like from mix 8 to mix 14. Now the next one. There is one obvious change already. Do you know what that is? Sorry, there is already an obvious change. Do you know what that is? Could you feel it? What happened to the vocals? It's more drive. Like he just got it right. Sorry. Let's forget what you wanted to say that. And I remember that first comment. Yeah. 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 And this particular recording was pretty cool. It was like a live session done in 3 hours. And he will play that one note the whole song, like the whole freaking song. But it's really great. It's a super cool song. So let's feel that again. We're there in mix. Next one. So that was the dry one. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next one. So let's see. Now, what happened in between the previous mix and this one is more complex to feel it. Let's see if we can feel something. Somebody's writing me here. Can't really hear the video, sir. Okay. That's not how it should be, and it should really be working. I'm gonna make it louder, but it really should be there, brother. So it should be here. Oh, I lost my place. Let me just have a look. Sorry, this is for the online dudes. Come on. No, there you have to hear the audio. Like, I mean, it's obvious that... sorry, these guys are in Google Meet. I see. Sorry, guys. It's challenging to do hybrid loopback audio. Hey, now my mic is not there. It's so annoying, man. This is so annoying. I'm telling you. Hey, yeah. Yeah, guys. You're right. Yeah, thank you very much, bro. Guys, I'm gonna put you here a link to the YouTube stream because let me be careful here because I think it would be easier. But this is so annoying. Yeah. So now it's like a really recursive thing. I mean, we're in some sort of like Inception kind of thing. So, okay, guys, here. There you go. Go to that YouTube stream, and if you want to talk with me, use Google Meet. I'm gonna mute the microphone in Google Meet, okay? So you don't get double sound, and in YouTube stream, you're gonna be able to hear everything we're doing. Thanks. Super. So I was comparing now the mix 2 and 3. Let's see what's up there. That's mix 2. Let's go to mix 2. So I'll buy a chocolate to somebody who can tell me what happened there. Look. Let's go again. So. Need to hear something else?
No.
Yeah?
Vocal compression dynamics.
The question is not in the vocals. The question was not in the vocals. Let's go again. This is mix 2. Mix 3. So when I look at you without glasses, I see like a soup of people there, and when I put my glasses, I kind of like you become who you are. So the bochka, the kick was becoming more focused. That was the whole commentary on the second version. You know, it was like kind of how do we make the bochka to be more focused? Now that I told you that. So not only the kick became more clear, yeah, the kick is more focused and the bass becomes more concrete also. Because usually what happens when you fix something like the kick, everything else that is connected to the kick, it also starts having a new interaction and a new light. Ah? Sure. Yeah, let's go. You want to hear 2 or 3? Yeah, sorry, I lost my place. So here's the second one. Now we go to the third one. Yeah, the kick just became more concrete, more clear. Let's go to the next one. And that process continued, and here it became a bit more clear, even, the kick. And then you will hear the final version, the one that went to master. In here we return to more reverb on the vocals. There is another comparison that I did a little bit further. Like now we will start again with the first mix. Notice how the kick there, it's kind of like, I mean, I use this word when I'm mixing, it's kind of like a soup. Like it's not like I don't know, like a piece of bread or something. I know this makes zero sense what I just said, but it's kind of like... Next. In here, the snare became super clear. Like compare the previous snare with this snare. Let me go back a bit before. Now look at the snare. So we were increasing in clarity, increasing in focus, in like exactly how I feel when I put my glasses, something like that. And the last one, let's see the final one. Let's see if we can hear the master. This is the master. There was the mix, what you were hearing. Like this is the released master song that came out of that same thing. It's gonna be super louder. Oh, not so much louder. Okay, so there was something navigating or helping me navigate each one of these stages and commentaries. You know, I had a message like, the botchka sounds too like a shliapa. The snare sounds too much like a dog barking on the dacha of my grandpa. And it's like, okay, can you please make this? And you know, for example, you had a mix already and your snare is already topping everything. It's like, can you make this snare louder? I mean, so there were a lot of questions that I got from my clients. First, there was my intention of what I wanted to achieve. I did it, and then they came like, too much reverb. Okay, let's reduce the reverb and stuff. So in between the question of my client and my answer, in the past, each question used to take me 3 days to answer. And right now it takes me like 5 minutes to answer one question of those. Like you already have been in so many situations that you sort of have a plan and understand like what you need to do in order to execute an audio process that will take you somewhere where you want. That's what this course is about. It's exactly about that. It's about problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. And not only that, and I mean, but the thing is that in order to solve something, we need to know what the tools are, right? And what are those tools are going to be and how we're going to use them. So the course is going to be about exploring all of that thing. Okay? So, super. By the end of this lecture, I want you to have an idea of what the hell this development of the technical ear thing is, so you can start engaging with the course. I want you to identify different modes of listening. We will talk about this today. And I want you to be able to choose and focus on a sound and kind of have different listening modes. We will describe two concepts, okay? Spectral balance and musical balance. These are different concepts. And we will kind of like start recalling or talking about the concept of technical ear training. Why should we do this? I want you to be able to research on the topic and just to engage and start, you know, just developing this. So, okay, audio engineering. Who here is interested in audio engineering? Like, it's kind of like, you're kind of like a class, it's like boys and girls or something. It's like kind of like sound engineers and songwriters sitting on each side. And you don't know, we talk about this kind of, yeah, right? So many of you are interested in sound engineering. who of you are interested in live sound? I am expecting less of you, like doing roulette to make live sound for a band or something that you're yes. Da. Okay, cool. And who of you here imagine yourself as a mixing engineer in the future, like somebody who is making money out of mixing? Only one person, two. Maybe four. I mean, you will discover that as we progress. You will respond this question, but maybe. No, but my question is not like, are you a mixing engineer now? My question is, do you think that maybe you're going to end up being 37 years old and have two kids and be mixing some songs to make some money? That's kind of then everybody's like, yeah. I mean, so look, let me tell you, you know a lot about me, my biography, my personality. So I don't have to tell you so much about that, but let me further open a bit more some things of my own self. Like, I never wanted to be a sound engineer. Like, I'm honest with you. I really never wanted to be a sound engineer. That was not my plan. That was not why I subscribed into music. I was not like, there are some guys who are like, I think Dmitry Volkov is like that. For example, ever since I met him, he was like, I want to be a sound engineer, you know, like, in my case, I wanted really to be a performing artist, but you know the type of music I like, and you know that this type of music is really hard to sell or market or something. So I had to find a way to get a job and to still be inside music. So like that, I ended up being a sound engineer. And like that, I ended up being a mixing engineer, which is what I am now. And I love it. I love to do this. It's really amazing. And I expect that something like this is going to happen to a lot of you. Guys, if you see no chairs back there, Ribieta, yo, I'm not going to hit you with the chair. I'm just offering it to you. If you want, there is another one here. Yeah. So well, there's another one here already. So the reason why I'm saying this now, it's because maybe many of you are going to end up mixing songs without it being your initiative or your first choice in life. It's because it's a really great and lucrative thing to do. It's really cool. It's actually really cool. I mean, you're at home, somebody sends you some tracks. You can be in Crimea, you can be in China, you can be in Thailand, whatever. Somebody sends some tracks, you go, you mix them, you get some money, bye. That's it. It's really great. I really love this, and it's a really useful thing, and also it's really useful for you. So for those type of people, this course will be fundamental because it would be an introduction to a serious conversation of those topics. For those of you who are songwriters and on the path of songwriting, good luck with this course. I'm being honest with you. I mean, I just really mean it. It's just like I'm not living a fantasy thinking that everything I say or do is interesting. It's just everybody has their own intentions and skills and desires, and it's just, if this course falls a bit heavy or boring on you, it's just in the nature of what we're doing. You know, I still believe that it's important to go through this because I mean, if you can write music while you're cleaning it, you know, so when you finish writing music, the music is already clean, it's a super thing in favor of you. Right now, the time factor for you is not fundamental, but it will be as time progresses, you know. Like, and the fact that I can solve a problem in 10 minutes, that maybe that same problem to you, it will take you an hour. That's going to help you a lot in the future if you can avoid that. So I've been doing engineering. Apart from the fact that I didn't want it to be a particular sound engineer, and I ended up being a sound engineer, I was always in love with this fact that it's really an art and a science. Like, it's in between two things. So you need to have understanding of theoretical concepts, and you need to also develop highly skillful critical listening skills. So you can apply this to your sound production. So each project is unique, of course, and you cannot rely only on one set of procedures. It's like, you know, many clients ask me, it's like, man, why don't you leave all the microphones in place so when you end up the recording on Friday, on Saturday, the microphones are already in place, and then you can record the next band. And I always answer the because I hate this question, I always answer like, because if I do this, I cannot make more money out of you. You see, if I put the mics again, I will make more money, and you will pay that money. And then the client is like, what? And I'm like, no, man, listen, I'm joking. Obviously, every situation is unique, and you cannot just like imagine that the same setup of activities will produce the same result. So in this course, we're going to develop a vocabulary and a set of practices of what should we do if X, what should we do if Y, and all of that. And those things are going to be in between art and science. So, of course, how to use gear is important, but I mean, most of the things that we're going to do in a project, this is, I mean, and by the way, this course has a very particular thing, which is like, it's going to sound, many of the things we're going to do here is going to sound absolutely like stupid. It's like, why are we in a course to discuss this? But we're going to do an exercise today, and you will kind of see the fish of it. Because really, what we are doing in this job is to hear. What you're getting paid for doing is to hear. Like, if you're a sound engineer or a songwriter, whatever, what you need to do is to listen. And we're in a world in which we're bombarded with Telegram information, new thing, Twitter, blah, 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 Facebook, TikTok, whatever, everything at the same time. And we have kind of forgotten how to hear. We need to remember how to listen with attention. And you will see that that is harder than what it seems. It's like easy spoken, but the truth is that you and me too, all of us, when we start listening to something, we start thinking about something else and we stop paying attention to it. And we are very visual creatures, and we're used to like just absorbing everything we see. But in this morning, you know, because I prepared these slides and these lectures, and I was thinking when I entered to the kitchen in the morning, it actually happened last night. Because I prepared these lectures, and last night I went into the kitchen, and my wife and I were speaking like because the babies were sleeping, and we were sleeping, talking very quietly, and I was just finishing preparing this thing, and I came thinking about critical listening and how important it is to pay attention to what you listen and stuff. And Anya, I was explaining her something about literally about the nature of the universe. And I was speaking like, and then she started pouring water into the kettle, like, in the thing. And she was like, carry on talking. And I was like, no, I'm not going to continue talking. Like, you cannot listen to me with attention right now. You just have like something else playing there. And I, for a moment, focused on all the sounds that were in the kitchen, you know, the light, the little thing, you know. This course is going to be about to try to help you to focus on what the hell is happening sound-wise around you. So you can actually start focusing. So... And well, I mean, and also me, because I also need this training. And actually, because this is the first time I give this course, I'm not in a perspective of expert beginner. You know, you guys have some of your experience, I have some of mine. I'm in the experience, and we're in the perspective of I have a bit more experience than you, and I'm getting paid to kind of grab your head and do like, look at here and focus here right now. Okay, so because if you don't have that, then you will never go through this. It's kind of how we are, because humans are like that. All right. So, okay. Basically, we need to know how to use gear. But most importantly, and that's where we're going to start, and that's what we're going to do today, we need to learn what the hell and how to hear. So, of course, when we take an action and we do something like we want this audio signal to be affected by something we do, but we have to have our ears tuned so we can distinguish the fine details and timbre of something. So we can change it, right? Like if not, we cannot change it. Many subjective decisions are connected to the artistic goals of a project. Like I show you, remember, I talked to you about this Poly Nirvana song once. Like I'm sure we discussed this. And so if I didn't discuss this with you, we were talking about like the fact that Poly is a song about a guy who kidnaps a girl. And so it's like welcome to the uni, guys. We're gonna talk about things that are quite controversial, but and then the whole decisions of microphone placement. It was like very close and intimate and stuff. So just catching you up. I think so, maybe, but I just don't remember. So okay, some of those decisions that we're gonna make are connected to the artistic characteristics of the song. But we need to know really if the choice that we have made is gonna really help us or not. And by the way, I want to tell you something that it's disconnected from this topic, but it's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. As you know, I'm kind of like, in the end, in some weird way, I ended up being like a kind of like some Christian dude somehow. Like that's how it is. If you don't like it, take it home. That's fine, but that's a reality, you know. That's how it is. And I think a lot about, I mean, when I think about Christianity or religion or something, I don't think about Patriarch Kirill kind of stuff. You know, I don't care about Patriarch Kirill. I'm talking more about, hey, this conversation is kind of like 2,000 years old, so there is something there that we can talk about. And so I think a lot about what something like Satanism can mean and something like Christianity can mean, and they're opposite things, right? And I think there is a satanic path, okay? And what does a satanic path means? And you don't have to listen to Patriarch Kirill to get an answer to that. You can listen to Goethe. To Goethe, if you don't know who Goethe is, well, that's a big piece of culture that you're missing. Is the most important German writer in the history of German. It's kind of like Pushkin's for Germany. So the idea of Goethe is that the satanic path is to fall in love with your own creation. And that's something that I'm really thinking a lot about, because I used to be that person who makes a song and it's like, it's the best song in the world. And it's like, is it though? Like, don't fall in love with your own creation. I'm telling this to me a lot lately. Like, whenever I do something, it's like, that doesn't mean that you make something and you say that's crap, that sucks. But I mean, to have the humbleness of understand that your choices are not necessarily always the best ones is important. Why am I saying all of this here? Because, well, you made a choice. It's connected to the artistic направление, direction that you want the project to have. But is it really the best choice? How do you know that it's really the best choice? If you're falling in love with your own creation all the time, you're always going to think that your choices are the best ones. But if you have some sort of technical background, you can assess, that decision was bad. Let's delete this decision and go to another one. So that's the other thing that we need to develop here together. The capacity to not fall in love with our own creation and to see if a choice is really helping us or if it's moving us away from the goal that I had initially. So, well, I mean, we're talking about critical listening, so I was like, I hope you get my joke. It is critical to develop the capacity to understand the timbral, dynamic, and technical details of sound. Technical judgments and alterations are the bread and butter of our profession. Basically, we EQ, we compress, we add reverb, we distort, we change balance, we pan, and those decisions have to be connected with an artistic direction. And those judgments are really what we're going to do every day. So, music professionals have the super cool ability to focus their auditory attention. Now, you see, as I'm speaking, there is some freaking machine there doing something. I'll open the door in a second. And just like this guy, really, he's like against my lectures or something. He does it against me, I'm sure. So, let's go. So, I mean, we have the capacity to focus our auditory attention, and that means that we can accurately control audio signals. So, man, I don't know how it happens to you, but I'm honest with you. I have an attention problem. Like, do you have this attention problem too? Like, because it's part of modernity. It's like we grew up in full of all these signals and everything around us, and every time I start doing something, it's like, and then I end up doing something different than what I started doing, and then it's like, and then it's like, fuck, it's 2 a.m. Like, how? So, I mean, we have to try to get this course as, an opportunity to recognize that we have an attention problem. All of us. I don't know if some of you don't have it, congratulations, but I think it's a problem of modernity. And so we need to try to become as professional as we can and pay attention to the things that we're doing so we can actually make good manipulations of sounds. And today we're going to make an experiment about this. So we can improve our capacity to do critical listening. Like I was telling you before, every time I had to do one of these tasks, I was always like shitting my pants, kind of like when I was mixing or something in the beginning. It's like, oh no, I have to tune this. I have to. I remember like when clients were asking me, can you change the snare? And I was like, man, like, no, like, don't ask me this question. Like, it's the building. You see Dima laughing because he knows what I mean. It's like, it's the building block of the whole thing. And now you're asking me kind of like, it's like to remove my shoes in the middle of the whatever. It's really hard. But nowadays for me, it's trivial because I became better. I practiced. And I was bad before, and I'm still not the best in the world, but I'm a lot better and I can do things faster. So you can improve over time. And there are methods that can help you to shorten the time that you need. And this is what is called ear training. So it's the capacity, it's kind of like a set of practices, just like you have piano training, solfeggio training. I know that you all guys were dreaming about listening to a whole bunch of frequencies and name them. I know that that's exactly why you joined Moscow Music School. But considering that that's not the case, but anyways, we have to go through this, or not anyways, I mean, I think it would be useful for you. So, some questions that, by the way, do you have any questions or comments, or you want to say something, or are we cool? Kind of. Sure. Sorry. Critical listening skills. Basically, what it says there is like you can improve over time, but you need to practice, basically. Hay que practicar. Yep. Cool. Cool. So, okay, some questions here that are coming out. What oral skills do experienced engineers, producers, tone meisters? This is a quote from the Audio Production and Critical Listening Technical Aid Training by Jason Corey. It's our book of our course. What oral skills do people who are experienced have that allow them to make recordings or mixings or stuff? What do you think? Like, I mean, what do you think are the skills? Let's think about Bob Ludwig. Do you know who is Bob Ludwig? Anybody here knows who is Bob Ludwig? No, yeah, because of Ludwig drums. Good idea, but Ludwig is the most, one of the top mastering engineers in the world. Like, he have mastered the majority of the records not the majority, but a lot of the records that you have heard were mastered by Bob Ludwig. He has like 12 Grammys or something. He's like a really, really huge guy. And he's also like a huge guy, by the way. What skills do you think he has that make him different than you? Какие навыки ты думаешь, что человек, как, не знаю, самый известный мастеринг-режиссер в мире есть, который у тебя нет? Опыт, experience. Okay, but that's not a skill. Like, I see your point, but try to make it more clear. Like, so, okay, the capacity of composition, layering, like, I mean, of understanding, like a unity. You don't have any mastering skills. Good. It could be anything. I'm going to say something, for example, to start. And you see, notice this. You all, I think, we all here think we know about this. And I ask a question and it's hard to answer it. That means that it's one of those problems that are obvious, but that we really need to think about them, because it's kind of something basic that we're discussing here. So a person like Bob Ludwig, what do you think he has that you don't? But okay, that's clear, but I'm not asking that. I'm asking something more concrete.
Like basic knowledge of what mixing and mastering is.
Okay, try to take it.
What he's actually like doing.
Okay.
What kind of a processing he has to do.
Just a moment.
I don't know.
What he's doing.
Yeah.
So Bob Ludwig is a guy. So this takes us to the question: what is a mastering engineer? So Bob Ludwig is a guy that I come to him and I tell him, "Listen, Bob, like I mixed this. It took me 2 weeks. Here is $10,000. Can you please complete this work?" And maybe, and this really shocked me, I read a mastering book, which is written by an engineer called Bob Katz. He's one of very famous mastering engineer, and he's mentioned in the mastering book that sometimes mastering engineers do nothing. I mean, he just hears the song, gets the $10,000, and he's like, "This is ready." Literally.
I do something.
No, well, I mean, he told you it's ready. That's a lot. I mean, that's worth $10,000. I know that it doesn't sound like that, but it really is. I mean, it means that this person sat down, he could focus his attention on something, make a composition, like you said, really cool that you said this, make a composition between elements and understand. One of the things he understood was like, hey, the relationship between these elements is correct. You know. But not only that, maybe he's going to sit down there and he hears the song, but from his perspective, he's hearing the song and then he's hearing like he also hears that, and then he goes like, oh shit, like let me just like make a curve there and eliminate this frequency because it's too much. The other thing that he's doing is like he's feeling like, for example, how much the botchka or a kick is piercing through the song and a snare. And then he's making a processing, but remember, he has only a WAV, a stereo file. He doesn't have like all the multi-tracks. And he's making some special compression to make sure that the snares and the kicks hit you in the same intensity. You know. So these are the type of works that Bob Ludwig would do. So, okay, now that you know a little bit of what a guy like him is doing, let me repeat this just in case. He sits down in a mastering studio, hears a stereo track, which he doesn't have the multi-track for, and he either says, this is ready, or he starts working. You know, what does it mean starts working? Let's make it with a demonstration here. Oh shit, I don't have Pro Tools here anymore, which is a major problem for me. Let me just load Ableton here. And load anything. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what am I going to load here. Like, if I just need to have anything that makes music. I hope that I can find something here quickly. Is there like a example song. Open live set. I just want to see if there is anything here. It can be that there is nothing and I have to download something. Okay, I was going to make you a demonstration, but I'll move on for now, and later I'll think about it. So a person like this, I'm sorry that I'm not going to demonstrate it like I wanted. I just don't want to waste so much time. What do you think a person like this has that you don't? Yes. He understands very well what an EQ can do. Because if he's sitting there and he's like, let me use an EQ here, he's not being like us. How are we? We're like, ну, как будто давай там, наверное, есть много бас, давай такой пресет меньше бас и apply. What he sees is like, he sees a curve in 100 hertz with, I don't know, 0.1 Q factor and minus 14 decibels. And he knows that that's what is needed. And he could tell you this in advance. So he knows the frequency spectrum very well, right? However frequency sounds. And so he knows it's not the same as, and he understands what kind of processes needs to be made to attack this or to attack this. The other thing that he has is obviously the capacity to focus. He has a great room, he has great speakers, but let's ignore that. He also knows what's the effect of compression. What does a compressor does very well, better than all of us. He also knows how to listen for distortion. This took me a long time to understand this, like how to listen for distortion. But for me nowadays, it's pretty obvious. I mean, when I hear something, like sometimes the whole song is not distorted, it's only the low end. And then you need to be able to separate the whole thing and focus only on the low end, and then understand what the low end is doing, and understand that there is distortion there, understand that it was not purposeful or yes, purposeful. Okay. So let's see another question. This is all being asked by Jason Corey, who is our hero in this journey. What can the legendary engineers produce who have extraordinary abilities to identify manipulate sonic timbres hear that the average person cannot? Distortion, for example, is something that an engineer like this can hear. And he can know that it was not intentional. The other thing that an engineer like this can hear that an average person cannot, you guys heard that reverb in the vocals right away. But maybe an average, you ask maybe your mom and she doesn't know or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe your dad is bought Ludwig. I don't know. But but anyways, where I'm going with this is like they can hear things that we can't. How do other professionals hear and consistently identify extremely subtle features changing an audio signal? These are questions that we're asking. How do expert listeners translate their preconceptions of sound to the physical control? You see, because one thing is like to think, monoga basucha. And another thing is like just to transport that from a thought to an actual action. So, something like that. So how do you translate your preconception to an action? You know, how can non-expert listeners gain these skills? How can we or us mortals be able to identify parameters between audio signals and to achieve something that we want? So all of this is about what this course is. So, okay, now the author of this book asked this question, like what specific aspects of sound should a novichok be listening for? So we will be focusing on the following audio attributes. So we're going to have to delve deeply, of course, into equalization, dynamics, processing, and reverberation as we proceed. By the way, I have a feeling that some slide was moved here into the wrong place, because I remember that this was here. I just made a mistake. Yeah, sorry for that. So yeah, that's why I got a bit lost. So we're going to be focusing on something called the spectral balance. I'm going to describe what the spectral balance is. We're going to be focusing on spatial attributes. We're going to be focusing on dynamic range control. I'm going to explain all of those things as we proceed. We're going to be focusing on sound qualities that can detract recording or damage them. And we're going to be, this is a really technical thing, and this is how Jason Corey puts it. We're going to be focused on the cutoff points of connection between audio files. Pretty specific. But you have no idea how much time is lost because of that. So we're going to be listening for or paying attention to the spectral balance, the spatial attributes, the dynamic range control of things, the sound qualities that are coming in that can damage a recording, and the cutoff points of editing locations. So can somebody tell me what do you think is the spectral balance? Have you heard this before?
Level of various frequencies.
No, without reading this. So, okay, as Paulina accurately said, or if somebody has not seen the screen and you want to say something, do you want to say it? Or you all saw the screen and there is a major spoiler already, right?
Yeah.
I should have made the animation, right? That it doesn't show it until I ask the question. I'll write that to my secretary. I don't have a secretary. So, okay, look, let's imagine that you're mixing a song, right? And then you're like, the snare is too loud. And that's not spectral balance, really. That's the musical balance, right? Because, I mean, it's more a question of like, I had several instruments there, and they're playing at the same time. Are they in a good relationship with each other? Now, the spectral balance, it's something more like, sure. The spectral balance is something more like, okay, I have all these frequencies there. Is there too much high or too much low or too much mid? Let's find out, Sometimes it's too much high. Sometimes it's too much high. Sometimes it's too much low. Exactly. It depends. So, all right. The spectral balance, again, is a relative level of various frequencies bands within the full audio spectrum. So that's a topic that I told you initially that we're going to discuss today, which is music balance versus spectral balance. We got it. Spatial attributes, how things are spread out in the what's the name, in the audio field. Dynamic range control is how do we control artificially the relationship between loud moments and quiet moments. And we're going to focus as well on what is distortion and the cutoff points. So, what's up? We already discussed this. The spectral balance is relative levels of various frequencies. We just discussed this. Like the spectral balance is just the relationship between different frequencies. So please let that, конечно, let that concept fall into you forever. So I don't have to explain it again anymore. Like in the future, like spectral balance is something that we will talk a lot, and not only in this course, but it should be somebody as normal to you as to say the major scale or the minor scale. I mean, when you hear the word major scale, you already have an imagination of a lot of things. When I say spectral balance, we all know what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about is the snare louder than the kick. I'm talking about like, are we exaggerating something? And what do you think determines if we're exaggerating something or not? I mean, where is is that snare too hot? Who dictates an answer to that question? Too жарко, too much. Okay, but according to what? According to what? I mean, do you? Yeah, but according to what? Do anybody knows here Atari Teenage Riot? Do you know what this band is? Never heard it? Like Atari Teenage Riot is, or Nine Inch Nails. Think about Nine Inch Nails for a second. Like snares in Nine Inch Nails are going to have a lot of high end. They're industrial. So what? Can I tell to the mixing engineer that snare has too much high end? I can't. Huh? You say yes. But if it's the truth that it has too much high end, but it's desirable artistically. You see? It's kind of like going to Van Gogh and tell him, like, listen, that sun that you painted there is too yellow. And he's like, but I wanted it to be like that. So where I'm going with this is like the spectral balance is super connected to the artistic direction that you want the project to have. Because there is no like a correct snare. I see you're there thinking, and I like that. What are you thinking about? Good. Yes, it's like of different instruments. Correct. And sometimes it's because, I mean, when I'm mixing a drum kit, I'm mixing different instruments, right? I'm mixing a kick, I'm mixing a snare, I'm mixing a tom. They are different instruments. Now, when I'm mixing a drum kit, I'm thinking about two things. What's the relationship between all of those elements? That's the musical balance. And then I'm thinking, okay, now that I'm discussing the relationship between all of those elements, what's happening with the frequencies there? Let's imagine each frequency as an instrument. So I'm mixing 9 Inch Nails. That snare, it's too dark for 9 Inch Nails. It needs to be hotter. So who determines the spectral balance? The music direction. And what determines, this is really interesting, and actually I just came across with this. Maybe that kind of applies. You see, like the spectral balance maybe is more connected to the emotion of the song than the actual musical balance. Surprise, I mean, I didn't thought about this. Yeah? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Like what I mean more about that is that from the point of view of the styles and genres, you know, the spectral balance tells you more about a style and genre than the balance of the instruments. Like, I mean, kind of like there is rarely a song when the snare is just too loud. Somebody wants to make this a fishka maybe sometimes, and that's it. And they do it. Now, there are a lot of songs that have a too hot snare, and that was done on purpose. You see what I mean? Like, that's a really cool idea, and I haven't thought about it. So we will be discussing a lot about these two things. So from now on, spectral balance, it's in our heads, and we know it. Great. How am I with time, by the way? So it's been 1 hour, so I have 30 minutes. Wow, this is new format is great, but it's difficult also to for me because I like to extend myself, and I need to be more focused. So we're going to have to, in order to master this, we're going to have to master equalization, dynamics processing, and all of that. And so the goal is not just not to know what works, but also to be able to understand when there is a problem, right? Obviously. So we also need to know how to identify problems. So we need to be learning how to focus our ears. All right. So let me see my flow here and understand what I'm going to do next, because I have a lot of stuff and I want to administer this in the most clear way. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to make a little change here in my flow of how I had decided it. Yeah, you see, like, this is where we are now, where we were. So I'm jumping a little bit because I'm delivering this lecture for the first time. Now let's continue. Okay, this is a really interesting part. So we're going to be in this course, be thinking about sounds, obviously. So when we hear something, we have an insight. This is really fascinating idea. Think about this for a second, and don't format yourself in the fact that this is an obvious thing, what I'm saying. It's really shocking if you think about it. I have my eyes open and I can see a lot of characteristics of this environment. But I don't have so much information about the acoustic characteristics of the environment. When I hear sounds, the sounds that I hear reveal me the characteristics of the environment. It's very obvious with light because light just comes to our eyes and shows us how this place is. But you don't know how this place is acoustically. I mean, you cannot experience that in isolation. You need another sound in order for you to understand how that room is acoustically. You see my point? It's kind of like without light, you cannot see a room. Without sound, you cannot hear its properties. That sounds very obvious, but there is a really interesting factor here, which is that you hear the response of the room. And actually, it's called the room response. It actually has exactly that name. So the sounds we hear give us insight not only into the sources. I mean, for example, if I do this, like you have heard the source, which is my mouth, and my mouth doing that sound, and you have also heard the room at the same time. It is pretty crazy if you think about it. So when we hear sound, we have information about the source, and we also have information about the environment that's surrounding the object. So when we are in a very reverberant room or an anechoic chamber, anybody knows? Do you all know what is an anechoic chamber? It's a special room. Let me put you here something. There is a video of Veritasium, I think it is. Wait, anechoic chambers are rooms that have zero echo, like zero. They're specially designed, and they're really freaky. And there is this urban legend that humans cannot be inside an anechoic chamber for more than 10 minutes or something like that, because you go crazy. And there is this guy, it's him. Like, he actually went to test this. So I will not tell you the results. If you're interested, I'll bring you into the Google Classroom and check it out. I'm just going to put it there quickly, just before I forget. So, развитие технического слуха. So, I'm just going to make here my video resources. Or resources. And let's put video. Great, anechoic chamber. Tell me. What's the question?
You have B in the title.
Resources. Thank you. So this is gonna go to развитие технического. Anechoic chamber is a room that has zero reverberation. So whether you are in an anechoic chamber or in a reverberated room, the sounds that you hear are informing you about the room where you are. So this is really cool. I love this quote, and it's like our surrounding environment becomes audible. It's a pretty cool thing. I really had never thought about this until I saw this. It's kind of like a room becomes visible to you when light comes in, right? Like without the sound, the room is, you cannot hear the room. It's pretty obvious, but it's a pretty deep thought, you know. So, and you see, the room is not creating sound by itself. It's not like the walls are kind of like blasting sound to you, right? But the way it interacts with the sound that enters into it reveals you the quality of that room. For me, that idea was like $1 million. I was like, fuck, that's great. So in a completely different location, for example, if you hear the same snare in room A, B, and C, and D, you're going to get a totally different experience. To some of you, I may have told you this story already. To some of you, not. I just want to repeat it in case I haven't told it to you, or in case you want to hear my repeated stories. When I was working with Zemfira, there was a show in Minsk, in the hockey stadium of Minsk, and everything started later than what it should. It was like a clusterfuck of things. Like, it was really hard morning, and I come out to test to tune the drum kit. The drum kit was on the stage, and I come out to tune the drum kit on the stage. And while I'm tuning the drum kit, the monitor engineer was tuning the PA. So it was like he was blasting white noise, like, and I was like, trying to listen to the harmonics of the drum kit. I was like, come on, Alex, fuck this. Like, yeah. And Alex was like, man, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I was like, I need to do my drums. I need to do the PA. And I was like, fine. I took the drum kit and I went to the Gremiorca and I tuned the drum kit in the Gremiorca. And I mean, and he was like, man, amazing drum kit. Let's go. Let's put it on the stage. Because, I mean, I tuned it for that room. And it was sounding amazing in that room, but it was sounding like dog shit in the stage. Like, it was really bad. So there is this relationship between the room where you are and in a different, completely different location. You're going to hear different things. So I guess I wanted to say here, let's think. No, let's think. Let's think about the case of playing instruments at home. Okay? And I'm realizing, considering the timings, I'm realizing that the little exercise that I wanted to do you today, I guess that we will open the next lecture with that exercise, because I'm just getting used to this polteraichasa format. So let's think about the case of playing instruments at home, playing an instrument at home. So check this out. This is going to be really important, and we're going to introduce a topic that is really big in our understanding, okay? So you're in a room, and there are very close walls to you. So it means that when I play something, the reflections return really quickly, but they don't return immediately. They return really quickly, but not immediately. And you know that when things are out of phase, they cancel each other or reinforce each other. You know this from the previous year. So when I'm in a room, I'm doing like, poop, and some things are coming back to the source really quickly. So I get a mix in my ears between the sound that is coming from that object and the walls really quickly. So I lose or gain a lot of information. When I'm in a room that has walls so close to me, the reflections come back really energetically, right? They're powerful reflections. Now, if these walls will be separated by 100 meters, what I get back from those walls, because of the inverse square law, we will discuss the inverse square law as well, the force that is coming back from me from those walls that are super far away comes really quiet. So think about this for a moment. Remember that concept we discussed a couple of minutes ago called musical balance? If you don't remember, it means that you were really not paying attention. If you do remember, I'm very happy for that. Think about the fact that I have two snares. I have snare A and snare B. When I'm playing in a room and there are reflections coming back to me, it's the same as having two snares. It's literally the same. Snare and snare B. It's just like imagine that you load twice the same sample on Ableton. And the second one, you delay it a couple of milliseconds, and maybe you put an EQ to it. Because the EQ is this material. Some audio and energy is coming here, and it's not returning. Just like your EQ is stopping something, right? So the relatively close proximity of your walls, because you're playing inside a room, reflects that sound back to you, and it arrives a couple of milliseconds later, and nearly the same amplitude. Like I was telling you, it's like you have two snares. This has very small time arrival difference and near equal amplitude. You understand what it says there? You understand what it says there? Remember, you're in a room. The walls are close to you. You hit the kick. You heard the kick that is right there in front of you, and you also heard something coming from the walls. That thing that is coming from the walls has almost the same amplitude. So it's equally loud as the thing that is coming from in front of you. Now, it's a bit filtered by the walls, and it's arriving a little bit later. What's up? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, of course. The same sound is returning to you. The same sound is returning to you at almost the same amplitude. Because the time arrival is, I mean, when I say, yes, I'm comparing two situations. One situation is in a small room, and the other one will be in the church. In a small room, like, I don't know if you remember this from when we discussed sound theory in the foundation, but like when I say Roma, that sound moved 60 times in a room by the time I finished saying the word. 60 times. I mean, just by me saying hello, the sound just moves 60 times from wall to wall. So when I have a source in a small room and I just generate any sound, I get, imagine 1 second, your Logic or Ableton program, and then you had one snare, and then you duplicate a second snare, and you just moved it a couple of milliseconds later, and that's your reflections, literally. I mean, that's why it sounds like reflections. Now, when all of those things combine, you lose or gain information because of cancellations and reinforcements. Remember phase relationships. Remember plus and minus. Huh? Yes. Because of the time arrival differences. Because, I mean, like you see, one of them, the signal that was generated had this waveform, and the signal that arrived a little bit later has the same waveform, but it's a little bit out of phase than the first one. So the small differences in time arrival and near equal amplitude, that the volume are the same, but the times are different, creates a change in the frequency content of the sound that is heard because of filtering of the sound, well, of a type of filtering called comb filtering. That is just literally... Comb filtering is things that are out of phase put together, basically. Yes. Yes. You combine them, and when that happens, some things end up being out of phase against each other, and then you lose some information. Or gain. Yes. So that's what is called comb filtering. So now, for example, if you have a carpet, then you hit the same drum kit, and then, for example, imagine the reflections of the roof are returning with a different frequency range than the reflections from the floor. Because the carpet absorbs sound, and maybe your wall is glass, and so you end up with this spaghetti or of different frequencies. And so I mean, this is the kind of things that I want you to start thinking about, just like what are those walls, why this room has this shape, I mean, why there are these lavushki on the roof, like all of this has a reason to be. So now, let's think about sonic environments, for example. What sounds are present right now? Пространство is environment? Звуковое пространство. Да. Thinking about the sonic environment. And by the way, next week we're gonna, or next lecture, I don't remember when it is, we're gonna do this like as an exercise. I mean, you're gonna open your Google Classroom and then you're gonna have to fill up a questionnaire. And then we will discuss what do you hear, what kind of things are we listening to, what sounds are present now. Apart from those obvious things, is there anything constant there that is always there, a sustained sound, such like a conditioner or something, humming, that we usually ignore? Where are those sounds located? After I made this slide is when I came to talk to Anya in the kitchen that I was telling you. And I was talking to her and she started pouring the water. I was like, wait, please, where is its sound located? Are there locations clear or distant? Like, I mean, can we point, like there is a horn right now? How far away is that horn? How loud is that horn? What is the character of the acoustic space? Are there any echoes? What are the reverberation decay time? You would tell me, man, like, what the hell? Why the fuck are we going to be talking about this? That's why I decided to use a book. I didn't decide these questions. This is a guy, just like you love to make beats and to play an ukulele or whatever, sing with ethnical percussions or whatever. This guy loves to ask those questions. So congratulations to him. I mean, but that's why I'm using him, because that's not my passion. But these are the kind of questions that if we start thinking about them, we're going to be able to articulate some sort of theory of how to listen. Yeah, sure. Bratan, remember that the slides, you can access them. Make your notes calmly, but I gotcha. I am the same like you. When I go to lectures, I'm always making notes, so take your time. So what sounds are present now, apart from those obvious things? Where is its sound located? Are those locations clear? Are those sources far away? How loud are those sources? What is the character of the acoustic space? Are there echoes, reverberations, decay times, etc.? Can I move on? Okay, great. So it can be informative to hourly analyze recorded music heard at any time, whether it's in a store, club, restaurant, and elevator. So that's something that we're going to do next week as well. We're going to play the same song here and in the reception. We're going to walk to the reception there and hear the exact same song. And you're going to have to make me a little report. We will discuss this in class of if there was anything that was different from here to there. And there are some questions that I want you to follow. You will follow them. These are kind of the kind of questions that you're going to answer. So we're going to hear one song here, one song there, and then you're going to have to answer these questions. Like, how is the timbre of the sound affected by the system environment in which it's presented? Are all the elements of the sound clearly audible? Did the balance changed? Because you will see when you hear the same song here and in the reception, maybe you're going to see that the snare sounds quieter there. If you focus, you're going to see this. That's why I remember I remember one time, it was at the beginning of my life in Moscow. I got this guy, which was like, I sent him the first mix, and then the answer is like, "Чё, блядь, это звучит как говно, ёбаный в рот, блядь." So he gave me all the insults in Russian in the world. And then I was like, wow, like, where did you hear this song? In my car. And so I told him, like, okay, when you come to the next session, let me go down to the car and hear the song in your car. I mean, try to imagine the most gopnik sound system you can imagine in the history of the world. Like, I mean, just try to imagine it. I don't know. Imagine that you sit down in a car and drive from here to Rostov, and in the middle of the drive, you stop in the first sound system shop that you see in the middle of nowhere, and you tell this guy, here is 15K, make me the most amazing sound system in the world. Something like that. I mean, this guy had like, it was like everything was distorted, everything. And that was his listening environment. So, I mean, for him, it was like the low end was a mess and everything, but it was like that his listening environment was a mess. So how could he analyze my mix from there? There is a book. I mean, right now you will see, I'm proposing you I'm really proposing you to follow this book that I'm doing, the audio production and critical listening. I sent you this morning a list of all the books in the library, and on the bottom there are 3 or 4 extra books that are online. So, and this is one of those. This one, audio production and critical listening. You can download that book right away. I'm honestly telling you from the heart, my course will be copy paste of that book discussions. So don't be shocked if you find that out. May it not be a surprise. And it's not because I'm pirating the whole thing. It's just like, I really don't know how to make this course didactic. He knows. So I'm following him and I will direct these conversations. But I'll be pointing to you to other resources. Jason Corey also talks about this book called Spaces Speak. Are you listening? So if you want to further develop the idea of how a room can affect the sound, that's a book that you could encourage and check out. I will send you today to our Telegram channel a website I found that it has 100% all the books that you want to find for free to download in PDF. Like, yes, it's in English though, but so far it has a 100 success rate, 100%. Everything I'm... Yeah, you can almost find it with MBK. And also, I think that UU has some sort of like book website. I will find that out. Anyways, okay. So at this stage on the lecture, but I just didn't know how long it was going to be, and we're almost done. At this stage in the lecture, we were going to do exercises 1 and 2. We will start next lecture with those exercises, okay? Now, I do have a couple of more things I want to share with you. Obviously, we want to... I'm going to skip this. This is all clear. An important aspect of sound recording is that an engineer seeks to control the relative balance of instruments, right? Like, this is kind of wrapping it up. Like, we want to control the relative balance between instruments or sound sources. This is either by manipulating what you have already recorded or by changing the microphone placement. For those of you who will come to me to the studio, we're going to have a great time exploring those kind of questions. So now, how sources are mixed. I mean, basically what these 2 slides says is the recapping of spectral balance versus musical balance. Like, hey, you know, how the position of a microphone or how you capture something is going to affect the spectrum. That's one part of things. And then once you have stuff recorded, stuff recorded, you can also change the balance between things. So this was the moment when I was supposed to drop the punchline of spectral balance and musical balance. I dropped it a little bit before. You already got that. Congratulations. That's pretty cool. So this is the last slide of the actual lecture, and then we're going to talk about the projects and the learning outcomes of the course. When you're listening to a sound, what should be focusing on? So next lecture is going to start with this slide. Timbre, dynamics, overall balance, distortion clipping, extraneous noise, space, and panning. These are concepts that we will explore very deeply. I'm not going to go to them now, but this is kind of like the meat and potatoes of this course. So the next thing before we go today that I want to talk about is the learning outcomes, the course structure, and how am I going to evaluate you so you understand what's going on. So what do I want you to learn? I wanted to learn to diagnose problematic sonic elements and understand their cause. I told you it was going to be a boring technical course, so I'm not surprising you there. Reflects on relationships between physical control of parameters, frequencies, sound levels, etc. And also I want you to understand, this is a really cool sentence, I want you to understand what's the relationship between frequency and level and psychoacoustic elements like timbre, right? And loudness. Because remember that timbre and loudness are not objective realities. It's just like, the TV is too loud, can you turn the volume down? So the volume produces the loudness, but it depends on the frequencies, and we want to understand that. I also want you to develop instincts that guide you to understand the subtle features and attributes of sound, because again, sometimes clients hear better than you, and they were telling me this mix is distorted, and I was really not hearing it, and then I started hearing it everywhere. So it's kind of like the matrix just comes down and you start seeing it. So I want you to develop instincts to see those subtle features. I also want you to develop a rapid response plan to a particular problem. So I want you to find a problem and quickly know what to do in order to fix it. So when the course is over, you will be able to demonstrate a critical understanding of sonic characteristics. Congratulations. You will be able to demonstrate and understand sound making and its cultural significance. Hooray. You're going to be able to appreciate the potential sonic in sonic materials. I mean, that's a really cool idea. That's a really cool idea. All of these things are so obvious, but it's kind of like when you hear a snare, can you understand what's the potential of that snare? I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can do it better. So appreciate the potential sonic materials and work creatively with recorded stuff so you can get the most out of the things that you have already and understand what are the methods that you need to sort out those things. So apart from that, we're also going to be inside management of projects, management of resources. We're going to be open to different ways of thinking as well, because you're going to say I would EQ it, you're going to say I would compress it, you're going to say I would distort it, and we will discuss all of that. And we're going to implement, evaluate, and reflect critically of our work in progress. So, look, this is the lesson plan, okay? We're here. What is critical listening? We're going to talk about sound, understanding sound in general in the listening environment, how to optimize the listening environment, and then I'll make an exam. There will be an exam, like it would be a quiz or something, like theoretical quiz. Imaging, panning, analysis, and then we're going to do balances. It's like in the second semester, we're going to do tuba, seriosna mixing. In this semester, we're kind of going to look at the parts of mixing individually. So I'm going to tell you, balance this, don't EQ it. EQ this, don't balance it. So we will tie our hands. So we will do balancing, EQ and timbre. And you see, these black blocks here are always like what I call project reviews. It's like a lecture when you come here and we just talk about your projects and stuff. That's the first semester. And the second semester, it's more like reverb, identifying spaces, time-based effects. In parallel of this, I'm going to give you a tool. It's also developed by the same geek, by the same guy, Jason Corey. He made a website that is designed to do ear training. So in parallel, I'm going to be showing you how to use this website. And then in around January, I'm going to make you an exam of this. So I'm going to play you a track. It would be like white noise. And then imagine white noise with a boost of 200 hertz. And then you're going to have to say, this is 200 hertz. This is 500 hertz. This is 5,000 hertz. Yeah, sure. Please, guys, control the window how you want. I'm really happy with that. And then we will go to compression, phase and distortion, and then we'll have another project review. What are those projects? I'll tell you in a second. And then we will be talking about identifying instruments and types, and then we'll have a final listening evaluation and a second golden ears exam. So we have one exam. We have an exercise on balancing. So I'm going to ask you to balance something. Then we have a second exercise on EQ and timbre. Then we have another golden ears exam. Then we're going to have an exercise on compression, phase, and distortion. And we're going to have a golden ears exam 3, I guess. So this is kind of their composition. So sound theory, balancing, timbre, golden ears 1, compression, and golden ears 2. So that's the book of audio production and critical learning and technical and ear training by Jason Corey. If you click there, you can download the book right away. It's there for you to download. My recommendation is to follow it with me, because you maybe are going to get bored if you read the whole book and then hear my lectures, because I'm really going to base it on this, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So for us on our first lecture, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss with you. I remind you that my slides are here. Your presentations are here. The commentaries are here. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, I don't know, you would like to say something? How do you feel about this? Does it sound boring? Does it sound okay? Hard? Yeah.
General question on the subject.
Sure.
The attendance.
Yeah.
What kind of rules we have this year?
What kind of rules? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Attendance. Look, I will be passing, unlike the past, I will be passing attendance, and thank you very much for reminding me. And please help me, everybody, to remind me on the lectures to pass attendance. I will not evaluate it. Like, my rules about as a course leader is that this is a simulation of the market. The same applies. Lucy is very strict on this. I'm not. So these are the rules. Yes. But she is not teaching in the bachelor so much. Like, she only teaches ensembles and piano. There were deep changes in the staff, and that's how it is. So about so I kind of answer your question, I guess. I mean, there are no specific rules. It depends on everybody. But I'm gonna be passing attendance because I wanna have just some statistics of how are you guys doing, and if you guys are close. I have a lot of students to take care of this year, so I'm gonna quickly go through it. So David is online. I saw him. Alexander is online. I saw him. Alexandra is here. Alexander Bantsev is here. I'm sorry if I still don't know some names, but I think not. Murat is here. Viera was not here. Slava is here. Sebastian is here. Pavel is here. Alisa is here. Roman is here. Well, Alisa was here and then left. Ah, no, she's here, still here. Great. Lena is here. Dasha is here. Lisa is here. Yes? Oh, sorry. I got you here. Anna is here. Sultan is here. Anastasia is here. Yes. Nika is here. No? Yeah. Yes? Ah, sorry. I'm just in my world. Alexander is here.
You did not check.
Nika, sorry. Alexander is here. Yes. Vanya is here. Gleb is here. Uliana is not here online. Who do I have online here? Let me see. I guess that it got closed. I don't remember seeing Uliana there. Olga Kapsar, I saw her. Katya was here. Valeria was here. Valeria was not here. Palina was here. Alexandra was here. Maria was not here. Artemi doesn't have to be here, but is here. Volkov was here. Gusha was online. Andrucha was online. And Vyacheslav was not here. Great. Thanks. Thank you, guys. I hope we can make it interesting and cool. Thanks. Let's see what we have now. I have the same question as you.
It's like on Thursday and Friday, I think.
Yeah.
You don't really know.
I am sure that the beginning, but good to see you, man. I'm really happy to see you. Yeah, I'm really great. Yeah, I'm really great. I'm very inspired and making a lot of music, actually. I'm very cool. Let me answer this question and then I can focus on you guys. So, okay, let me see the Raspisania 1 second.